astrology lovers. Today I'm doing a video on the time frame between the two eclipses. So this time frame starts with May 26, 2021. That's the full moon eclipse with the moon in Sagittarius conjunct the south node and the sun in Gemini conjunct the north node. And after we pass the full moon eclipse, it will be pretty intense, like the energy of that eclipse, for about 4 days. And it will get a little bit magnified by the moon's conjunction to the outer planets such as Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus in a variety of ways until it reaches the sun again in Gemini and forms the new moon eclipse on June 10th, 2021. There are some really important things happening during that time frame. And so I just wanted to lay out, the exact dates of the eclipses and where they're landing. Then I want to talk about why the energy between these two eclipses is so intense. And when I say intense, I mean intense, but I also mean it's kind of the energy of eclipses. It's almost like it has a mind of its own. Eclipses have a power to change our lives. Sometimes that energy is internal. In other words, you feel this really strong, intense, compelling energy that makes you want to change your life. Like you might reach the point where you're just done with something, and you're ready for it to be over and out of your life. Or sometimes it will come from something external, like maybe something happens at work and that affects your life, or a relationship, or some other event that in a sense compels you externally to make a change in your life. So this is why the energy of eclipses can be pretty intense just by itself. But there are some other things happening during this eclipse period that will intensify the energy of the eclipses. So I want to talk about that. All right, so the first thing to keep in mind is that after that full moon eclipse, we'll be moving into a Mercury retrograde, okay? And retrogrades take us back to the past. It's also reminding me of something, which is I wanted to mention to you that I am going to make an effort to post more financial freedom videos on my channel. So I'll be doing astrology, financial freedom, and nomadic lifestyle, like when I'm traveling, like the recent video I did when I was in Denver, Colorado, and then Palm Beach, Florida. So getting back to what's happening with the energy between the two eclipses. So the first thing is that after the full moon eclipse, then we move into a waning phase. And waning phases are usually better for completing projects and continuing with ongoing projects rather than initiating new projects. That's especially true during the eclipse period, okay? Because this is really a time to clear the decks. And that's why I'm calling this video Between Two Eclipses. Clear the decks. The energy is just going to be so strong and powerful and intense on its own. It's really going to make things happen. So you don't necessarily want to be sticking your neck out, especially during a waning phase, especially during a Mercury retrograde, especially right in the middle of two eclipses. It's better to clear the decks and try to simplify your life. It takes some time for solitude and retreat if you're able to, outside of your normal activities. If you can take a little more time for yourself, that helps, because it's sort of like we're in a whirlwind of energy. And so the more you can do to really calm your own existence, the easier it is to deal with whatever might come up during that time. Again, I'm really wanting to put an emphasis on the fact that Mercury will be retrograde during the time of these two eclipses. So that it just kind of, it's like the signals may get a little, the energy of the signals may get a little haywire. That's why we really have to try to simplify our lives, clear the decks, take some time for solitude, meditation, and really try to quiet our own inner being as much as possible in order to be able to respond in a more present, grounded, centered, and resourceful way to anything that may come up during this time. So, along with Mercury retrograde, there's, I think, the most important astrological event beyond the eclipses and Mercury retrograde is the fact that we will have a Mars-Pluto opposition, okay? Now, I need to say a little bit about Mars and Pluto, because Mars is the warrior planet, and Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, and it's the planet of the underworld, which includes death. And it's a very karmic planet. Now, I'm not saying anybody's going to die. It's more, it's usually, like 99.9% of the time, it's usually referring to death of the ego, a kind of transformation that occurs. So when you have Mars in opposition to Pluto, the energy can get a little volatile, sometimes even violent or a little bit dangerous. And so what I mean by that is you want to take extra precaution to not be out alone at night. Just pay attention when you're driving. Know the people you're around. And it may sound like I'm exaggerating, and for most of you, you won't see anything, out of the ordinary happening. But there will be a few people around this time who may, because of the way the planets land on their chart, may encounter someone who is not trustworthy and possibly even dangerous. So, like I said, it's just a time period where you want to be extra cautious about if you're out alone at night, like in a parking lot going to your car, or driving, or meeting someone new. You just don't do those kinds of things, like in private, where you don't even know this person, and you bring them into your home. No, you would not want to do that kind of thing. I wouldn't recommend it in general, but certainly not during in the middle of two eclipses when Mars is opposite Pluto. Absolutely not. So Pluto can also reveal corruption. I do think we're going to see some things happening on the political scene. Absolutely. And, also possibly relationally, you can see power dynamics being activated during this time with Mars opposite Pluto. So that's the biggie to watch out for. Now, let me just reiterate, we've got the full moon eclipse on May 26th, and then we've got Mercury retrograde, and then we've got the Pluto-Mars opposition, which is exact on Saturday, June 5th at 12:45 p.m. Pacific time and 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. Okay? And then with the moon, it will sort of trigger or reactivate that energy whenever it is conjoining Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, and also making an opposition to Mars itself. Okay, so the moon reactivates that. So I'm going to end that here, and I hope that was helpful, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.